already. Well, as I guess that all of you have been welcomed, and we certainly hope these next 3 days between Russ and I we can shed a little light on alchemy. I'm a firm believer that you have to start from the beginning, and not only do you do the work's being done within yourself at the same time. So it's a evolving process. Now these classes will be informal. Anytime that you have a question, I don't really know if we're going to be able to give you the answer, but we'll sure try. So anytime that you want to interrupt, fine. Because we want everyone to know what we're talking about, hopefully, when you leave here. And normally, another thing we try to do in all the classes is we had a hands-on approach. We like you to get your hands into it. Now, due to the fact that we have a video, we're going to have to limit that somewhat, because if we ask you to come up here, we'd like you to come behind so that we can show the equipment. We don't want everybody up around this piece and he's taking your back.
Thank you.
Now there will be at times that we'll call on you to give us a hand. And as I mentioned to you before, basics. I'll keep preaching basics all through this thing, because once you learn the herbal process, it's pretty much used over and over. So if you go back to basics, you shouldn't have any trouble later on. Now, another thing is equipment. I hear this story quite often that you need a laboratory, you need Soxhlet extractors, all these things. Actually, you don't need them. And if you're a lazy alchemist, you can set up a jar with a maceration and take a year's vacation. You'll have a tincture when you come back. And in your kitchen, you have a stove, you have a charcoal grill, you have pie pans, these ones. You even buy a pie. You can use that tin for this work. In fact, in San Jose, I told them this, and so the next day they brought in several pies, and we enjoyed the pie and we used the tin. Then I did get smart. I told them I was going to tell them how to extract watermelon seeds. But I didn't get the watermelon. So I gave it a try anyway. And another thing I think that you have to learn is patience, patience, patience. In fact, it doesn't hurt if you put a big sign in your kitchen and say patience. The only thing you don't want, when your wife's doing the cooking, you don't want patience there. You want to keep it moving. But that's very important. These things do not happen immediately. You have to have that patience. Now, to get down to it, what really is alchemy, of which we speak? Very simply, it's a science of God, the law of the universe. God is a grand alchemist, and his body, the universe, is the laboratory. The task of the alchemist is to center himself within the consciousness of the divine creative principle, so that he can understand the universe in all its diversity as one great process. We define this as the raising of vibrations. Hopefully, most of you people know what raising of vibrations mean. Now, how do we accomplish this? We do it through purification of the entity, whether it be on the physical plane, which we'll call the tangible plane, or the mental plane, which we'll call intangible. Now, some will call spiritual plane, but for all purposes, we're going to say physical and mental. All right. Now, Russ, if you want to show a couple of these planes, make 3 triangles. Now on the top of the first one we'll put mercury. Then to your left, sulfur and salt. Now on the next one, at the top you'll have spirit. Soul and body. Then some of you that has delved into Rosicrucianism, some of these other things, you'll have universal soul, soul personality, and spirit energy. Now basically, these are all the same thing. It's just different terminology. Like you see in the Bible, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. See body, spirit, and soul. Well, what we're going to deal with is mercury, sulfur, and salt. Just different terminology. Now everything that exists is found within these 3 triangles, or within the triangle. Now in this triangle you have to have 2 things to manifest the third. And also might mention, we're not going to delve into it, but you'll see a couple more triangles come up, and you'll see a triangle as above, so below, which one's inverted from the other. Now, there are 3 planes of thought which help us to accomplish our goals. And you want to draw the 5 steps? Well, make 3 sets. So I'll tell you, you have room enough.
Yeah.
Now on a physical plane, which we'll use that first set of steps, the first thing you have is a hypothesis. Then, which the hypothesis is a goal that you wish to obtain. Then you have the theory. And that's how you go about attaining it. You theorize it. Then you have manifestation. That's how you physically bring something about. Then you have function. Now that's the purpose, or the response, beg your pardon. No, that's purpose. The function, did I say?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a purpose. And then you have proof. And that's what you want to confirm. It's a confirmation. All right, the next one, on the mental plane, you have hypothesis. Then belief. Knowledge. And if we go too fast for you, let us know. Understanding. And then wisdom. Now the last one is on a meditative plane, and this is the one basically we use in working with alchemy. First thing, we have an invocation. Then we have a contemplation, and we contemplate what we're striving for. Then preparation. We make the preparation to accomplish this. Then the uses. You get the uses?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the doses. So it's a good idea when you do this kind of work to sit down and meditate and contemplate what you're striving for, and then make the preparation and follow through. Don't go in and start, I'll brew up this and start it, and then I'll get something else, and you don't really plan it out. It's a good idea to make these plans and follow it. Now we're going to talk briefly about mental alchemy. Yes?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you were saying that intent would establish the final preparation. A lot of what you're intending to do is the basis then for what kind of preparation you're left with.
Right. And it's also, if your intent is to accomplish a certain thing, and you went through all these processes of preparation and what have you, then you're going to realize better results than if you just go in and work a little bit on this and that, and without setting up a goal, which you should do. It's like anything else. They tell you, whether it's in business or whatever, if you establish a goal but don't establish it too high and work different levels till you can reach that. And that's what you want to do with this.
Another way of saying is that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Now, in doing this mental alchemy, we use a reverse theory, where we go from the intangible to the tangible. Normally you work from the tangible to the intangible, but we work with both. That's why you find in alchemy that while your scientists work with tangible and your priests and preachers, etc., work with the intangible. In alchemy, you work with both. Now we find the universe is mind. That does not mean it's mental mind. When the universal mind meets a resistance, it brings forth a force which manifests as matter, which is a tangible body. Universal mind is an actuality. It remains and does not change. This mind is the all unlimited. Our minds are limited. Everything that transpires is by way of the divine mind. Transmutation is just a matter of raising of vibrations. The purer a substance is, the higher the rate of vibration becomes. So in our goal, we want to raise the rate of vibration of whatever we're working with. A substance of a lower vibratory rate is always drawn toward the higher rate, and the higher rate, not the higher rate to the lower. In other words, it's going upward. As stated before, the divine consciousness is the highest consciousness. In order that we might reach this state, we must establish an ideal and live it. Then it will show forth. And in order to transmute to this higher state, we must make an entire change, not just an adjustment in our life. This must happen within as without. We must purify our body, plus raise our ideals, which in turn will be helpful to others as well as ourselves. Again, I must emphasize our purpose is to evolve ourselves, not others. Take care of this one. We may lend a helping hand, but that's the size of it. We found this purpose not on the material plane, but on the esoteric plane. Again, the soul personality and the spirit energy is the essence that manifests the universal soul. And all matter is imbued with consciousness. This soul consciousness is this soul consciousness is carried by the vehicle called man, is given off by his conscious energy. An example of this is if you had let's say the sun, and out from the sun you have different rays coming out from it. Now you have a Mars or Jupiter or what have you out here. Now they don't have any light of their own. So when the ray of the sun hits Mars or Jupiter or Venus, what have you, then it's like a cloud when you have electrical storm. When the cloud becomes saturated, then it gives off a force. Well, when the sun's rays saturates Mars or Venus or Jupiter or what have you, then it reaches a point of saturation and it gives off its rays. So one reacts on the other. Now I like to, we don't want to really get into horoscopes, but the thing about a horoscope, you're on the planet Earth, and you have longitude and latitude. Now you pick this spot where you're born at a certain longitude and certain latitude, and then you compute the location in reference to that of the planets. One might be conjunction, parallel, sextile, etc. Then as that influence is projected to you at your time of birth, gives you a good indication of what you brought with you in this lifetime for use. So it's a good idea if you had a small child and you did their horoscope, and everything in the horoscope shows that this child should be a carpenter, which could be a carryover, but this is the strongest influence on that particular child. Then if you take, instead of giving this kid a hammer, you give him some cosmetics and he's painting up his face and what have you, he can certainly be a beautician. He has the free will. But it's more logical to give him the hammer and some nails, but you better take it somewhere where you can protect yourself. But he could excel, since he brought this bundle of wisdom with him from the past. He could excel as a carpenter. And to be blunt, he could be a half-assed beautician. He could excel in one thing, but he could still be the beautician. But he wouldn't be as good as if he was harmonized with the influences that he brought with him. You have a bundle of wisdom which leaves you at death, and then it comes back in the next incarnation, and you carry it with you. And if, well, I really don't want to get into reincarnation, what have you, but if you have a real strong talent in this particular lifetime, which carried throughout your life, then that could be predominant in your memory mind, and it could come out easily the next time. But it depends on your needs, which we're not going to really get into. Our instincts are a recognition of the pattern of soul consciousness. We are in a constant state of movement. Nothing rests. We evolve whether we are conscious of it or not. And I like to think of, when I was in India, they have these new escalators, and had all these Indian women at the bottom of the escalator, scared to go up it. The cops was pushing them on the escalator. But it's the same thing. It's kind of crude, but we are at the bottom of that escalator as a group. We will eventually reach the top. We will evolve. You've already went through several stages to reach the point you're at. Now you're at the point that you have the decision to walk up the steps ahead of the crowd or stand on the step and wait till you get there. So you have advantage. You can walk up ahead of the crowd, which hopefully some of us might do. Only trouble is I haven't found the direction. Our purpose, therefore, is to be at one-ment with God. We have heard the word God many times. It is very hard to put limits on the unlimited. So it's kind of hard to say what God is when it's unlimited. I had a friend of mine that was astrologer. She was a architect. She was an artist. She was a poet. She wrote her own books, what have you. Now, how could she accomplish all this in one lifetime? She went blind and then come back. And she always told me, she says, God means great outdoors. And if you look to the heavens, everything is revealed. And that's true. So that's where you look, or within. Then another thing she told me that I found true, that The greatest things in this world have the smallest name or word. Sky is one of the greatest things. Ocean, God, everything that has come right in.
Thank you.
Everything is of importance has a small name so that the multitudes can understand it. Now when you get these big words and it's some kind of a medicine that takes you clear across the room, it's not too important. Someone just dreamed up something to make you think it's important. But the greatest things have the smallest words which the multitude can understand. Above all, we must love God. By loving God, we learn to be charitable, and this will show forth in our deeds. We must find this love within ourselves. We speak of good and evil. There's no such thing as good or evil. It's just our thinking that makes it so. So therefore, by way of invocation, we ask to see things as they are. This will change our ideas so that we may progress. We must humble ourselves and ask for enlightenment, which shall come forth. We should will to see things, not just want to see them. When we are limited in our thinking, we cannot fathom the unlimited God. We must go to the source of all to understand what we do not understand. Man is unable to create things. He can only draw from things that have already been created and imitate them. Everything is there, has been there. So all we have to do is draw from it. We're not really coming up with anything new. We find that our heart overrules our brain. Therefore, we should keep our hearts open to the divine consciousness. Kind of summarize, our purpose in life is to reach oneness with the divine consciousness by learning the laws of the universe and using them to evolve. In other words, there's no point in you coming here and learning these laws of the universe and not applying them. In other words, when you're given much is expected from you. So you just don't do this and throw it on the shelf and we'll think about it next year. Now, if we use these laws, then we can raise our rate of vibration and attune with the universe and soul consciousness. We must cleanse the mansion of our soul and purify the mind so that we may be able to transmute to a greater, higher being. Now, the mansion of our soul is our body. So we need to clean that up. Only by harmonizing both the mind and the body can we obtain this perfection. We cannot be all spiritual and we can't be all physical. You know, you find a lot of people running around with their heads in a cloud and think that that's the ultimate goal. And they're oblivious to what's going on around them. And then you'll find others that have no spiritual value, and they struggle along at it on the physical plane. Well, in order to reach this perfection, it's not a halfway street. You have to use and purify the physical, and when you do that, more of the spiritual could come in. I like to think that God is the sun, right? And out from the sun you have the rays, right? Okay, you'll see about a foot from that sun, you'll see rust. A little circle like the planets, you see. And then about down the bottom there you'll find me. And we can place a few of you around. But who got that one?
These did.
Oh, okay. The thing is, that ray is the same as the sun, right? So if you're a ray, God is within you. All right? Depending how far you are from the source is how far your evolvement is. So like Rusty don't have too far to go, you see. Now, the farther from that sun, the dimmer your light. So the idea is to brighten your light up and head back up that ray to the source. There was a song, and I can't remember, maybe some of you rednecks can tell me, but they had a country western song out about a lump of coal, and they said when you polish this lump of coal, it became a diamond. Did you ever hear that?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of it, you know?
Jackie, I'm just an old lump of coal. Jackie and Ray Gardner gave me a copy of it, and I have a cassette of it someplace.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It really tells you the story. In other words, it really tells you the story. You find this lump of coal, and you polish it and polish it and polish it, and then it becomes a diamond. And that's what you want to do. Same thing.
On the next alchemy class, maybe you could play that before the music, before the class, because a bunch of hillbillies listen like this.
Yeah. So how long do we go here? 11:30?
Yes, sir.
Lunch is what? 11:30 to?
12:30. Lunch is 12 to 12:30.
So we stop here at what time?
Between 11:30 and quarter to 12.
Okay.
All right.
We'll all evolve just a little more because of that time.
I have a comment.
What?
There's a silence here. I noticed several years ago, it came to me in one of my thinking spells. I had a thought once in a while. And it seems when you get real close to a bright light, when they were taking pictures of NASA was taking pictures of what things look like in outer space, the light and shadow are really contrasted out there. So if you get real close to a light source and you're facing the wrong direction, it sure looks dark. Enough said.
Well, as we go into the physical part of this work, I'd like to remind you that when you do the physical transmutation, you're also doing a spiritual transmutation. So when you break down this herb and you raise its rate of vibration, that's happening within you also. And you'll find out later on that it better happen in here or it won't happen down here. Now we always come to this old question, that are you going to be a library alchemist or a real one? We find a lot of library alchemists. They get all this information and put it down, and actually it's the first time we ever did it, that it's being recorded, because we try to stay away from that, because they make a tape and then they go home and says, someday I'll look at that tape and it'll all come to me. Well, really, if you want it to come to you, look and listen. I'm one of the worst for taking notes. I never could really take notes. I write down a word here or there. In fact, after several years, probably this one notebook would have all my notes. I have to do some now because I'm getting senile probably. But it's very important to look and listen. And I hate to talk to anyone on the side of me. I have to look at them. And you'll find that you'll get much more out of it. You'll retain much more than writing word for word. So this is really the first time we're putting anything on tape. But hopefully that's helpful. Now at this particular time, you're being given a glimpse into a great brotherhood of people striving to find who I am, what's my purpose, how to accomplish this purpose. That's what it's all about. They talk about alchemists. Well, I have a card I carry around that somebody sitting close to me I could spit on, made up, and I show it around Jack Glass Alchemist. But really, that's a sham, because from what I've heard, if you find one alchemist out of 300,000 people, you're going to be lucky. There's a lot of people calling themselves alchemists, like me. But really, there's so much to it. And the more you become aware of it, the greater it is, and really you find out how stupid you really are. Till you get next to someone that doesn't know anything about it. Then they think maybe you know a little bit. Now, like I mentioned to you about this equipment thing, you don't need any of this. You can really, in fact, Russ can tell you there's one student that goes to a park with a charcoal grill and calcines. I don't know if she's in here. Better not. No, not her, but I was going to tell you about another one that she took, and she was doing distillation, so she got some frozen peas in her freezer and put a pan up, and how she had it working I don't recall, but anyways, when the gas would come up, hit this pan, and she put cold frozen peas in the pan as a condenser. And then it would hit the cold surface and drop back down and do the circulation.
You know the bundt pan that's used in making cakes and so on? She put a bundt pan and put a bottle and set the bottle down in a pan of water and was cooking. And she needed a condenser. So she put the bags of frozen peas here, and then when they would get hot, she'd take those out and put them in the freezer and
freeze them again. And I told her yesterday, I said, I've changed your whole process. She said, "What's that?" I said, "I chopped up carrots." But that's using, if you don't have it.
Yes. We've seen people make that have studied for 20 years and have laboratories that you wouldn't believe, that are not sure that there's such a thing as a plant stone yet. And we know other people who work in outside with a grill and work with jars and work with things that have stones that work perfectly. So it's not the equipment. It's, you can spend $20 in a year and have everything you could ever need. Or you can take spaghetti jars and go out in the fields and find everything you want. It's not...
We had one fellow that won one of these extractors, and he went out and he got some clear plastic tubing.
Yeah.
And he made this condenser and everything out of clear plastic tubing. He didn't have a water supply, so he got a tub and put a little pump in it that you use in your garden or in your fish tanks and what have you. And he pumped the water up into this condenser and let it free flow back into the tub. And he used that. He used the same water over and over. He might have to cool it down after a while, but these things are all possible. You don't need all this equipment, the point we're trying to make. Whether it be in an apartment, whatever. It'd take you longer, yes, but you can still accomplish it. Now, you have to establish some type of goals in this thing, and we kind of laid out one for you that we try to do with these classes, if it's a continuous thing. Now, in your particular case, we're starting in the beginning. Now, we should learn the process of the lesser arcana. In other words, the herbal process. And through this process we want to make tinctures, we want to make herbal medicines, spagyric medicines, but the ultimate goal is to make an herbal stone. Now, in the metallic realm, anyone speaks of alchemy, what do you hear? Changing lead to gold. Okay, that's by far from what it is, but that's part of it. Now, in the mineral world, the only difference between gold and lead or tin or what have you is gold has reached perfection in that realm. So what that means is everything exists, has a body, a spirit, and a soul. So in the gold, the body, the spirit, and the soul will say sulfur, salt, and mercury. Now we're getting into alchemy. Gold has reached perfection. So it has equal parts of sulfur, salt, and mercury within it. Now lead has more mercury than sulfur or salt. Iron might have more salt than mercury or sulfur. The other ones are not in equal proportion because they haven't raised up to the point that they have reached perfection. So in the vegetable kingdom, what we want to do is take a plant and separate it into the three parts of sulfur, salt, and mercury, purify it by fire, and put it back together to try to perfect it. Now when we talk about a vegetable stone, we're saying that if we take a plant and we separate it, purify it, put it back in equal proportion, then we will have a stone which has reached perfection in the vegetable kingdom. Then if you have this stone, what you can do is if you had a herb and you pour it over it water and you put this stone on a piece of string and you put it down into the water, it acts like a magnet. It will immediately, within about 15 minutes, extract a strong tincture in water from the herb. Then once you have this stone, then you don't have to go through all this alcohol and all this bit to get a strong medicine. You can take your stone and make your extractions almost immediately. So it's reached perfection in that realm. And that's what we want to show you how to get this. Now, I'll tell you this for a fact. You're not going to get it while you're here. You'll be shown. But you won't have time to make it, yes.
I just wanted to ask you to repeat that, what the stone will help do to create, through its perfection. You're saying that perfection in the vegetable kingdom is an herbal stone. Mm-hmm. And that consists of equal parts of salt, sulfur, and mercury, and of that essence.
Right.
And from having that stone, you can create any kind of tincture.
Once you have perfected that stone, you can take any kind of herb and immerse that stone in it and extract it. The stone acts like a magnet. You can see it draw it right out of the herb into water.
The stone doesn't dissolve.
No, if it's perfected, it doesn't dissolve.
They can make a diagram. If you take 2 jars and you put the same amount of the same dry herb in both, and you put room temperature distilled water, the same amount in both, it's going to make a tea. So you will get some kind of change that's going to be taking place anyway. But if in one of them you suspend a plant stone, a lot of times, in fact, the herb won't stay on the bottom because it's light. The herb is frankly going to go right, hang up on the top. So the herb is going to be here now. What you will see,
some of them will float on top, some will sink. Yeah.
You're going to see like little rivers beginning to come straight down out of the herb, and they will go toward the level of the stone, and they will tend to form you will have a darker tincture here in the same amount of time. This will be very light, this will be very dark, and very often you see a heavy band right at the same level. And you can take a pipette and you can put it in and you can draw out the darkest layer is pretty good.
Yeah.
It has salt, sulfur, and mercury of the herb already balanced. And what drops down is the useless, or the less useful part.
Yeah.
Is the stone the same herb as the plant?
It doesn't have to
Not
be.
always. There's some research questions. Jean Dubuis felt that in his case that a stone of Saturn, for example, something made of horsetail or one of the plants that's on this level, would work on every plant. I've seen, I haven't seen anything to disagree with that yet, but we need enough of you making plant stones so that we can finish the research.
The one thing I had, excuse me.
I was going to ask if there's any particular stone that has a better draw power than others, but in the vegetable stone.
I wouldn't say. I would say that if you reach perfection, one would work just as well as the other.
Okay. I only have, a couple of hundred? You got, a couple of hundred? We just don't have that many to try.
Yeah.
No, just...
I had one. I was carrying around with me. It was a eucalyptus, and I was up in Saskatchewan, and this woman, she for years having colds all the time. You know, it gets pretty cool up there, 40 degrees below, and what have you. And I said, get a glass of water. We had about that much water in it. I took this stone and put it in the water, left it there a few seconds, took it out. I told her, drink the water. She drank the water, and the next day that cleaned her whole system out. And every Christmas I get a card, and it's been about 4 or 5 years now. She hadn't had a cold since.
You didn't place any herb in the water, you just used the stone?
No, just stone. No herb, just plain water, and just immerse the stone in it.
Is there a preferred herb to begin with?
Not particularly.
You would have big trouble if you used roses, for example, or plants that don't have very much essential oil. And we'll talk more of this in the next couple of days about plants that have quite a bit essential oil. And those are a lot easier to get some results with.
Would you use other than water?
Well, the only thing is water's the cheapest thing to use.
Nice.
Yeah. Where alcohol, you have different things in it, where water you don't. All right, now, after we have this stone and we can do all these things with it, we like to find the Tartar alkahest. Now the Tartar, I don't know if you know much about Tartar, but when they make wine, used to, today they've changed it considerable, but inside the wine barrel you'll find a hard stone-like crust, which is a tartar. Now tartar is a bridge between the vegetable kingdom and the mineral kingdom. So if you get this tartar, you can make an alkahest. Now when I say an alkahest, is a menstruum. And alcohol is a menstruum for extraction. Water is a menstruum for extraction. In fact, a lot of you every morning put some herbal coffee in your filter and put water, run through hot water, and that menstruum is extracting a tincture from coffee. So that's, when I say tincture, that's like coffee. So you're all doing that already. The only thing is you're going to move into herbals.
What's being passed, so you know, is it's a red tartar from grapes. Just so you can...
Now this is chipped out of the wine barrel, and it's going from the vegetable to the mineral. It's becoming hard, like coal or what have you.
Is that a hydroxide or what?
It's a mixture of tartaric compounds. If you burn it, it yields mostly potassium carbonate.
Yeah.
But before it's burned, it's maybe tartaric acid and plant oils and all kinds of different things.
Well, see, the reason we want this menstruum is alcohol and ether and acetone and what have you are all extraction medium. But the tartar alkahest, since it's a bridge between the vegetable and the mineral kingdom, if I took this gold ring and I immersed it into the tartar alkahest, it would extract the sulfur from this ring and leave a dead metal. In other words, it would give you a gold tincture.
And that would be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So That's the idea of this Tartar alkahest. In other words, it's another step above the plant.
Is like the bowl of a pipe after it's been smoked a while, and the tobacco that is,
It adheres to the wall.
yeah. Is that
Well, if it hardens, it's like that. Well, it could very well be. You'd probably get just a lot of sulfur inside the pipe. But it does change in the vegetable kingdom to a mineral.
It's very hard, yeah.
Oh, yes, very hard. You'll see.
I think it's not the solvent. I think more of the solvent is in the smoke. Just thinking.
Now, to get on with this, the next step that we want to accomplish is the philosophical mercury. Now that's just another menstruum, but it's more potent than the alkahest. Now if you get that, you could take this ring and pour over it philosophical mercury, and the whole thing would dissolve into a potable gold. It's that potent. Then we want to go for the firestone. Now the firestone will transmute your metals as well as yourself. In other words, changing your lead to gold, etc. Then the ultimate goal is the Philosopher's Stone.
You said the first stone will transmute what as well as yourself?
Your metals. Metals. Yeah. In other words, if you had lead, you could transmute it to gold or silver or etc. Now, the Philosopher's Stone is your ultimate goal. Once you have that, you can come and go, leave this realm, cure all diseases, what have you. So, that's what we're shooting for. Now, it's a long road, so...
Can you define the philosopher's stone, or is that
Well, that would involve a lot of things to get into that process. I think it's about that time. We might as well stop there before we confuse them too much.
Have a good lunch. And Sue, we return here at what time?
1:30.
At 1:30 here. Okay. Be sure and take your meal tickets so that you can get fed.
Holy.
You know what you said with the memory? You know how you said you have problems with memory?
Yeah.
You know that one of the things we found, and this right from the dreams, a lot of things where you get illuminated.
You copy?
Okay.
Stereo.
Well, as we get into this,
Bonjour.
we find out that all herbs are influenced by certain planets. So a book that I think is very good to give you this information is Culpeper's Complete Herbal. Culpeper's, yeah, Complete Herbal. Now he has another one out now that is Culpeper's Color Herbal. Now most people like to buy that one because the pictures look pretty. but you have more information in the first one. Now we'll get into why we want to find out about these different herbs and their influences. What we want to do is make a tincture for each day of the week. And each day of the week has a certain planetary influence. And the idea is, if you make a medicine for, say, Tuesday, which is governed by Mars, the idea is to make something that will work on the gallbladder that is in harmony with that particular day. So the idea we want to get is to make 7 tinctures, one for each day of the week, which will cleanse the body, the mansion of your soul, so that these cosmic influences can easily come into you. So just as an example, you might want to write them down. You'll find hundreds of herbs under different planets, but to give you an idea what we're talking about, on Sunday, if you would use, say, ash or celandine, which is 2 herbs, and that's for your heart. And then on Monday, you might say cucumber, lettuce, and that's under the moon, which is the brain.
Brain?
Brain, yes. Tuesday, a good herb which I use frequently is barberry, which is, or hawthorn, which is Mars, and it's good for the gallbladder. Wednesday, you can use caraway, licorice, and that's under Mercury for the liver. Thursday, agrimony or parsley, Jupiter, and for the lungs. Friday,
Agrimony, what's the second one?
parsley. Now, it's not important really that you write these herbs down, because when you get into that book or some other book, you can get maybe 50 herbs under that particular sign. Friday, colt's foot and mint, which is Venus, and that's the rains.
What is
Rain?
what?
Rains. That's sexual organs.
Yes, also with kidneys maybe.
Yeah, kidney.
Kidneys in the
Right.
uterus.
In that area.
Plumbing.
Plumbing. We should have said that. That's simple. And Saturday, barley, wintergreen, and that's the spleen.
I'll make a comment here. There's still somewhat of a dispute on if the liver and lungs are done this way or this way, with the lungs on Mercury, liver on Jupiter. Personally, I use this way. There is a treatise of Paracelsus that shows the way that's in red, and it's thought that it was copied by his students, that it was a transmitted text, and somebody makes a whoops. But I think that it's a good question to have. You're not going to hear a single answer. You go find an answer. It's a better way. You make experiments.
And also these work on the 7 chakras. So what we want to try to do is to get you to make a tincture for each day, and take it on that day, so that you're in harmony with all these planetary influences, which you can physically clean up your body, like I said, so that these other things can come in easily to you. And I mentioned before that it's necessary to work with both, the physical and the spiritual or mental. So if you want to get the best results, is to do it that way. Now you can take a tincture on any day, but you're not going to get the most out of it than if you take it on this particular day. Now we're talking a little bit about spagyric tinctures. One thing, when they make medicines, if you go out and buy a pill, basically you're just using the salt. And if you go out and buy a tincture, you have the mercury and the sulfur. But in a spagyric tincture, you have all three. Like I said before, when gold reaches perfection, or the plant stone reaches perfection, well, if you make a medicine, you want to get it to the highest degree that you can to take it. So when you make these tinctures, you want to take the plant and separate it to the three essentials: a body, a spirit, and soul, or sulfur, salt, and mercury. Then you put it back together. You purify it by fire, and you put it back together. And that, when you do it by fire, is you're transmuting it. You're raising its rate of vibration. Even when you get involved with this thing, if you take the soul part of the plant, which will, you can raise its rate of vibration much faster than the salt. In fact, if you start to purify it by fire, you can get it so white it will take off. You can see ascension, like they say in the Bible. It's purified so hot you have to put a lid to hold on to it. It'll take off for you. Now, as I mentioned, the whole idea of this is to make these medicines and raise them to their highest so that they will do the job within your body. Now, we should talk about how do we get these three things. Well, all the alchemists, they used grapes. It comes back to wine making. All right, if you took wine or grapes and you put it in a barrel and you let it ferment, what happens? You get a grape juice, right? Well, you can take this grape juice, which is a tincture. The grapes is the salt, and you have a tincture, and in that tincture you find the mercury and the sulfur, or the spirit and the soul. The body you leave behind. All right, then you take, to speed it up, you add some yeast, and you put it up to ferment, and you end up with alcohol. Well, if you draw the alcohol off of this grape juice, then you have the spirit, or the mercury. So that's what you have over there in the bottle. Only thing is, that came from grain. rather than from grapes. But it's alcohol, and that we use as a menstruum for extraction. Now, if you have this grape juice and you distill off, you take off the alcohol, you'll have left a gooey substance, real thick grape juice, and that is your sulfur. And then what you took this grape juice off of, the grapes themselves are the salt. Now you take the salt and you purify it and raise it up to as high as you can, and you add your mercury back and your sulfur back, then you have a spagyric medicine. But that's where you get it from. Now, any questions about the three? I want to make sure that we know when we say mercury, sulfur, salt, what we're relating to. So if you have any questions about it, yes.
I like the story of when Ned spoke about how your emotions, how you're thinking and how your emotions are when you're going through the process, how it directly affects what you're doing in the end product. How the salts.
Oh, you
How
want
the salts turn color and all on you, depending on if you're thinking in that terms, you spoil the whole lot.
Oh, yes. After a while, it gets to be a personal thing, and you will see a definite difference in what you're doing. It all works hand in hand, and you can go in there and I'll give you the exact formula, and you can follow it to a T, but it won't work for you because that's within you also. So it makes a difference.
So the salt would be the body?
The salt's the body, yes. And the sulfur is the soul, and the mercury is the spirit.
What is the soul in this grape analogy again?
The soul is after you remove from the grape juice the alcohol, then you have a purplish gummy substance.
That's when you distill it.
When you distill off the alcohol.
Grape juice concentrate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Real concentrated though. Get most all the alcohol out.
Something that can be useful not only by analogy but in practice. Chemically, the spirit or the life force is the same. It's alcohol in the plant kingdom. If you look at it chemically, it only has one composition. It's not different. If you have a plant of lavender, a plant of rosemary, and a rose plant, the thing that you can identify the difference in the dark, the thing that makes the difference is the essential oils, it's the sulfur, it's the personality. It's the thing that is unique to the specimen. And the salt, you will have for different plants a different chemical composition. It's also unique. It will have some tendency to be very similar, but it's unique for plants.
The spirit's always the same.
Ideally, it's undetermined energy.
Thank you.
Actually, on this sulfur, salt, and mercury, basically it's the same, but when you're talking this soul, it's all of the same soul. But it's like when we pointed out to you that the rays of the sun contacted Mars or Venus. Then once that became saturated, then it gave off its own personal influence. The one soul was within it, but then as an individual entity, then off you had the force from Mars or from Venus once it became saturated. So it's like all these things. They'll have interacting influences, but the thing is what's most predominant. Like we didn't mention sundew. Now sundew is an herb that's, as far as we can see, is influenced by all 7 planets. Well, the idea is everybody says, well, okay, I'll make a tincture of sundew. I don't have to make the other 7. Well, that's not the story. That's the easy way of getting out of something. Actually, certainly you'll have 7 different influences reacting in your body, but not as potent and harmonizing as if you did each one individually on that particular day.
That's like the antimony in the metal kingdom.
Antimony has all 7 colors, all 7 planets, which it's considered the universal medicine because it works on everything. But for our purposes in the beginning, we want you to use individual herbs for each day, not something general that will react on everything, but not to the extent each one will, individually.
You say that the attitude is important when you begin the work and as you're doing the work. To be more specific, what is the attitude? I mean, would you, if you're doing something with Mars on Tuesday, would you do something Kabbalistic in terms of contemplation of Mars and its virtues and its ideals and those things which go with it?
Well, that would all be a part of it if you really got in that deep. That's just like if you're follow the newspaper and do your horoscope every day. Well, if you put a lot of emphasis on that particular thing, chances are you're not going to really accomplish much. You have to have a purpose and do a more accurate thing with your chart for something specific, but you wouldn't run around all day long. Well, the moon's here, I can't do this. Now my watch, if you take it off right now, I shouldn't be here. Because my watch says, it shows whether stop, go, or wait. For love, business, or luck. Well, right now I'm in the red. Every one of them, so I shouldn't even be talking. But this changes, you see. Well, if I paid a lot of attention to this, we'd probably shut down today. But if it turned green, I'll see you. All right.
Jack?
Yeah.
I've often thought of sulfur and mercury as being crystalline and oil and alcohol as a way to mentally, visually keep them straight in my mind.
Well, you can do that till you get to the quintessence.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is there a plant in the vegetable kingdom that's perfect like gold is for the metals?
Well, I don't know of one. Maybe you do.
I don't know, but I think the closest to gold in a way is the grape. In a way. It's under the sun, and in France it's worshipped. I think every culture that became civilized began able to cultivate grapes and to make wine. It's after you take care of the very necessary fundamental things. This is pretty quick after.
Now, one thing I want to caution you about is we have ethyl alcohol, which is from the grains. Now, normally when you get into this thing, you want to use the most natural thing you can, which that is natural, but all the alchemists like to use grape alcohol. Now, comes up another thing, you have wood alcohol, methyl alcohol. That is poison. So you stay away from that. Now, this past year in San Jose, I gave them an order for ethyl alcohol, 200 proof, 100%. And they said, we got it. We went into class and they dug it out and we started to extract tinctures, what have you. And we found out that it was cheaper, so they mixed ethyl alcohol and methyl alcohol.
Oh my God.
Well, before we took any tinctures, which we don't do anyways, but we discovered it and got rid of it. But one thing you want to do is be careful of this thing. Get the right thing. I don't know what you wrote.
We have little pictures. Ethyl alcohol is your friend. Methyl alcohol and ethyl alcohol denatured are no use for this.
Well, we almost had a problem there. Just because someone thought they could save money. Now, something that we'll have to set up later, but I'll mention it now, is essential oil. We want to show you how to extract your oils. And we'll get into that after. Now, one thing in this, when you're making a herbal medicine, you use dry herbs. Now, there is some question about this. Why would you go out and buy 200 proof alcohol and then use a fresh herb with water in it, so you add it to your alcohol? You're spending all that money to have something that doesn't have any water in it, and then you use a fresh herb that does. Now, if you're going to make an extraction of essential oil, then it's good to use a fresh herb. So you want to keep that in mind. Now, to get to this, like I said, you can do this anywhere, in the cellar, bathroom, whatever. But we're going to show you some different ways that you can get these herbal tinctures. And the first thing we want to talk about is maceration. So that good old name Mason jar is fine. Peanut butter jar, whatever. That'll hold the liquid. Now, which one do you want to use? Put any one in there.
Cinnamon.
It's all right.
Not much, because we need it for these.
Well,
A little cinnamon. You want to invite somebody up, and we'll let them work?
yeah. You want to take, you want to use the cinnamon, or you want to use that other
This
chamomile?
for the oil.
For the oil, okay.
I'll work.
All right.
Why don't you come right here on the end? We'll work.
Now that's just a simple maceration, which anyone can do.
Okay, and you can stand right around here.
And once you set this up, you leave it approximately 14 days in an area where it's warm.
Above the fridge in the cupboard. Works good above the fridge in the cupboard.
Above the fridge in the
40
cupboard.
degrees exactly, all the time.
Yeah. that's possible. Some people put it on their furnace in the winter, what have you. But all you have to do is put your herb in a jar, or whatever kind of jar you want to use, and pour over. Our alcohol here is 190 proof, and proof is double the percentage of alcohol. So if you had 200 proof, you would have 100% alcohol. 80 proof, 40% alcohol. So on and so forth. Well, the idea was to make 200 proof alcohol. But normally, for all practical purposes, when you open that bottle up, you're going to pick up moisture. So normally we use 190 proof. I don't know how it is. In Illinois you can get 190, but there's a lot of places. Now Ohio used to get 200 proof at the liquor store. But some kids got some and they drank it straight, and evidently someone died, and they don't sell either one now, 190 or 200. And I understand that's that way in Michigan now too. Is it now in Pennsylvania, which is only 4 or 5 miles from me? I go over there to the liquor store and get 190.
West Virginia has 195.
Yeah.
And Maryland.
Okay. Irene, would you like to, I'll come over and give you a microphone. What have you done so far?
Well, like a good cook, you just take a couple of spoons of this. About 5 of them I put in. Since we don't have a spoon, we use this. And now I'm going to pour some alcohol over it. A little more? A little more?
Does it come with umbrellas?
Remember to put your tops on your bottles. And then put this on top. Shake it up a little bit?
Sure.
Now,
we're going to, we'll pass it around so people can see it. But here we have, this is a warming tray. These are good things to find at yard sales, for example. They're very, very inexpensive. They're these are only a few watts, 80 watts, and this is for 3 heating surfaces, so it's a very low wattage heater, meaning it doesn't get hot, it won't burn things very easily. These are nice. You can put several jars in here. If you want to hold the heat in, you can put a styrofoam cooler over this, for example, or put a small one inside of a cooler. And it's a good way to let it get warm. We used cinnamon, and if we were making a tincture, we would, for our use, we'd probably use more, but we want to save enough for some other experiments here.
What about in maceration?
How much alcohol do you really need? How much do you really need?
put more alcohol than this substance.
Generally, if you have about 3/4 of an inch over your herb, that gives a pretty good tincture. After a while, it's like to cook. You'll have to feel your way around how strong a tincture you want. Now, in the chocolate extraction, normally with this size, we say we put in 250 milliliters of our alcohol. And it gives you a good, decent tincture when it's finished.
Now this was a maceration.
Yes.
The Spagyrics?
Well, Spagyric is when we combine it. Right now we're just extracting the sulfur from the salt by use of mercury, which we already had. But if we started in the beginning, we would have to distill that alcohol off of grapes to get the alcohol. We already have the alcohol because we're lazy alchemists, supposedly. So it's cheaper to go buy it than spend the hours to get it. So we have the mercury right there in that bottle. Now, by putting it over the herb, we'll draw off a tincture, which will include the mercury and the sulfur. The herb is the salt.
Adding the water to it.
Well, no. The tincture is when you have extracted something out of the salt.
Like when you make an herbal tea.
Yeah. In other words, when you put coffee in your filter and you run water through it, you get a tincture.
Right.
The salt is the coffee that you put in the filter, and the water and what you extracted out of the coffee. The water is your menstruum or your mercury, and the sulfur that you took out of the coffee that gives you the color is your sulfur. So this is the same thing, really. Only thing is we're using a stronger extraction medium.
I see. Okay.
If you extracted in this even, if you extract it with water, you're going to get less tincture, less strong tincture, than if you extract it with 200 proof alcohol. If you macerate with 200 proof alcohol, it's going to get a much stronger tincture in less time than if you used water.
Right.
One thing relating to proportions has more to do, instead of the ratio of the herb to the alcohol, the size of the liquid to the size of the jar. I don't think that you want to fill a jar more than 2/3 full ever, and I prefer 1/2 to 1/3 because you have room in the heat for the moisture to circulate inside.
Are there any herbs that you can't extract the properties from with alcohol or
Without which methods?
this method with the alcohol? Is there anything left in the herb that you can't take out? Besides
Yes. There are some herbs have compounds that are water soluble and not alcohol. I think that's where you get off the general path and into a specific plant. And what we talk about, I think, is more general.
So the reason you can use the same alcohol for all herbs is that the mercury's the same throughout the whole kingdom?
Well, it's not exactly the same because that was extracted from grain, where the other might be extracted from it'll have some influence from whatever it came from, but not to a great extent, you know.
The word the alchemists use to talk of this is to say something is determined. If you have alcohol that has come from wine, it's determined even after you distill it and you make it absolutely pure alcohol, it is determined still here on the level of the sun. If you take alcohol from this grain and you distill it and you distill it, it's still determined probably this one is on Saturn. Probably. What is maybe a chemical reason is that it's also esoteric. You have sulfur, mercury, and salt, and we're trying to find this pure mercury. We could say that this is the body, and it's possible to make a separation of the body from these elements, and these are more intangible, they're more volatile. The essential oils of plants they're a complex compound, series of compounds. Very often they have components that are alcohols. When you distill this, it's from the grape, for example, and you have this, always some of this is with it. It may be very small, but it's impossible to make it perfect. If you look at it esoterically, this is the matrix of material things. This is life force, and this is consciousness. There is always a little consciousness in life force, always. At least in the world of duality, in this world.
Plus, it appears that since everything consists of salt, sulfur, and mercury, you wouldn't have a grain of alcohol here unless it had mercury. I mean, the salt,
Yes.
sulfur, and mercury together.
Yes. Everything you see, including mercury, is salt, sulfur, and mercury.
Right.
If you can see it, it is still all three.
Yeah.
But the balance is now more distinct.
Are there any advantages to getting your mercury from the wine and going through the whole process of breaking the wine down?
Yes. Just like anything in this, you could substitute. Like if you're going to work with tartar, you can use natural tartar, or you can use cream of tartar. You can go to the grocery store and buy it. But the thing is, you don't know how they got that cream of tartar or what they did with it. Where if you go from the natural, then you know what you have. And naturally, the natural is going to be more effective than the other ones. Now, when we're talking about these 7 herbs for cleanse and purify your body, what have you, you'll find if you do this, that you might have a lot of aches and pains and what have you when you first start taking one each day. Now, the difference between drinking a tea or making a spagyric tincture, you might be taking 3-5 drops a day instead of 2 or 3 cups of tea, which will be much more potent, plus it'll have all 3 essentials. Now, I've found, and a lot of others have, that when you start taking these tinctures, you'll get aches and pains. In my own particular case, I got headaches, sharp pains in the back of my head. That went on for about a month. And then, after that, didn't have any problem. But if I went out to a dinner or something, and I drank a highball, I could feel that sharp pain, because I was putting sludge back in that I cleaned out. So what I finally decided to do is I give up the herbs, and when I need a little spirit, I drink the alcohol.
So should we become winemakers first?
But
Maybe.
You will notice a difference. It'll affect you. But that's the cleaning up process, which you have to do. All right, we showed you a maceration. Another little faster way is a circulation. And what you can do, you can take a flask and put your herb in there and your alcohol. Put a condenser on top. Now, anyone don't know what a condenser is? Okay. Explain a condenser.
Okay. What a condenser does is the same thing that a cold mirror does in a shower when you take a shower. You have a surface that steam is able to condense on. It's the same principle. And with a condenser, this one is a little hard to understand because it's complex.
Here, these.
All that, like these, what you have is a cylinder. It's a hollow tube. And you put a jacket around it. Another glass jacket. When you put a flask on the bottom and you make heat, the vapors come up like so. And if you put a tube, like one of these tubes on the bottom, and you let cold water come in, the water is going to surround this hollow tube because there's a jacket holding this water. It'll rise and it'll come out here. So you put another plastic tube to take the water away. When the vapors come up, they'll touch this cold surface and they'll begin to make little beads. And the beads will become more and more, and they become heavy and they come down. So you see big droplets. And when you circulate alcohol mixed with an herb, for example, you have the heat and you'll see continually drip, drip, drip. The alcohol on the bottom has a color, just like the cinnamon and alcohol here. The alcohol that's coming down is absolutely clear because it's not the color, it's not the body of the herb that's going up, it's the alcohol is being evaporated. It becomes a steam very quickly, more quickly than water. So off it goes. It's the reason the alcohol goes up is if you put out a pan of ether, a pan of alcohol, and a pan of water, in time they'll all evaporate. But the ether first, then the alcohol, then the water is empty.
Actually, you can take a flask like that with a high neck. And you can take and just warm it, and your alcohol will go up the neck and air cooled. It'll drop back down into your herbs and it'll just keep circulating. That's the idea of it if you don't have a condenser. Then to go a little further, you can take a flask like he has there and put a straight tube on it, and on the top you can use a cork or you can go to a auto supply store and get a vacuum gauge. Then what you do is you set your flask on the heat, leave the cork off or your vacuum gauge till the gas goes clear up to the top and is coming out of the top of this tube. Then you put in a vacuum gauge or a stopper. Take it off of the fire, and when it cools it creates a vacuum in there. And the idea of the vacuum is you can use less heat. So then you use maybe a half or a third as much heat to circulate it once you create a vacuum. Now you can take ether for extraction and you can pour it on an herb and create a vacuum. You can boil it in your hand because the ether is so volatile, just the heat of your hand, once you got a good vacuum, it'll circulate it. So the idea is when you use vacuum, it reduces the amount of heat that you need. Now, maybe if we have time, we can maybe show you that.
You'll have to be tomorrow.
Before it's over. Yeah, it won't be today. So there's different ways that you can do this. Now, we told you about maceration. and circulation. It's just a matter of the alcohol will vaporize and condense and come back down on it and vaporize, etc. And that's just a circulation, which is faster than that just sitting there. It's a maceration. Now you have a very good tincture already with that. If you had, see how dark that tincture is?
I'll pass it.
Now if you had water on that, you wouldn't have near that tincture. But then you, yes?
How do you know when you've done something enough?
Well, if you say you left that 14 days, then you poured off the tincture. You filtered it. And you had a fairly strong tincture. Then if you poured on fresh alcohol, and you close it up for another 14 days, and if you got another good tincture, you haven't got it all out. But say you did it the second time, and you took off your tincture and added it to your first tincture. Then you put on more alcohol. It doesn't draw off a tincture, well then you've got it. All that you're going to get out of it that's worthwhile. But that's the advantage of this, which we'll explain. If you put your herb in there and you continually run your tincture or your mercury through it, then overnight, when you don't have a tincture coming back down and it's clear, then you've got basically all that you want out of it. Now, to show you how you can get this alcohol from grapes, you can start from the beginning and ferment your grapes and get your grape juice, what have you. Well, that bottle over there has this grape juice in it, only it has alcohol also. So you got your mercury and your sulfur in there, and due to the weakness of it, you got water also. So what we're going to do, you can do this in several ways. We're going to use a retort here to distill over, take the alcohol out of that wine. Also, you can use a distillation flask, which you might want to draw one.
The distilling flask is more common. Today the retorts are not,
you can't hardly find them.
They're not easy to find, but the reason why we show it is because it's the easiest way to see what happens. It's so simple that it's the best. You would put red wine here. There's it's a flask, and then you have a glass connector. We'll show you one later, so that it makes a bend going this way. And it has a hole in the top so that thermometer will go in. You can also do the same with a flask that's like this. It's a distilling flask. You just use this instead of this part. The condenser, again, you put cold water in. You always put in at the lowest point and you let it go out at the high point. When you put heat here, after it begins to heat up, it begins to sweat inside, it condenses, and then you get some moisture coming over the top. When you get drops here, they will be clear. there won't be any red. The slower, the better.
78 degrees normally the first time. You put a thermometer up there.
Yeah, you get 76 to 80 plus. The temperature goes up and down. It won't stay all in one place. And you're not measuring the heat of the liquid, you're measuring the heat of the steam. And that's centigrade. After a while, you'll have a lot of water, or not water, you'll have clear liquid, and the temperature will start to go up. 90, 95. When it starts going up, you stop. Because when this is all concentrated, what starts coming over then is water, which is going to go at 100 Celsius, and that's not, you don't want that.
Well, generally, we've taken brandy that was
80, 70,
80 proof.
80 proof.
Oh wait, was about 80 proof, which was 40% alcohol. And if we watched our temperature real close at 78 degrees centigrade, and we slowly distill that over, our end product here was clear alcohol, which tested out about 140 proof.
We even got 170 in one class in the first time.
Right, in the first distillation. Then if you take this and put it back in, get rid of what you had left, and put your alcohol that you distilled over back in and distill it over again at a lower degree, say 76 degrees. Then you'll still leave behind more of your water and what have you. So you do this several times. If you could bring it up to 100% alcohol, but it would take several distillations.
You can't get 100% just distilling.
No, never.
Not really.
No, because there's a special properties of water and
well,
alcohol.
you have to put things in with it to dry it out. Right.
We can, we'll see how time goes this week, and if we get a lot done and there's some interest, there's equipment here that will do 93% in one distillation from wine. Saves a lot of time.
How specific is that equipment?
How expensive?
Well, how specific? Like, is it anything you got on the shelf now?
It's only flasks, and we can show you. It's nothing unusual.
Still unclear about the tube going in and out and what they represent. I mean, because it seems to me that the one that's open at the top is going to let the spirit fly off.
No, it's closed.
It's closed.
This, on which
In the
one?
drawing there.
On this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got two openings.
My apologies. This one and this one, for example? Yes.
That's the water.
I cheated because I'm a lazy man.
Okay.
There's an inside tube here,
Okay.
and this is where the alcohol comes through, and this is the jacket for the water. So yes, I apologize.
Now in this particular case here, we're going to put the wine in here. This is air cooled. We're not going to have a condenser on there.
Beautiful. What's the majorly the advantage of that?
What's the advantage of this? Well, I don't know that that's what they did originally, and nobody does it anymore because they use a condenser. But it can be done with this due to the length of this and the way it's made.
Beautiful glass.
More it looks pretty, and for me, it's more convenient than packing 7 pieces of stuff to come here.
It might be useful to mention the Figaro column. People who want to distill alcohol from wine and so forth.
Yes.
This thing is, it's fairly inexpensive. It looks like a condenser. What it is, it's a straight column with little, I call them tips of glass that they get by pressing a hot iron in there. And that scrubs the water off. And in one pass, you can get 95% alcohol.
It's a high column.
Right.
Generally, it's pretty high column.
Yeah.
What's it called?
A Vigoro.
Zigzag.
Figaro, like
Yeah.
V-I-G-E, nah.
If you still have water and you don't want to keep distilling it, you can add a little potassium carbonate.
Right.
That'll absorb the water, and you can get the alcohol off.
The dimples in the sides of the glass here.
Yes, there's on 3 sides or 4 sides, and it's like Hans says, you take a piece of glass column like this, and you take a hot end of a file, and you you heat the glass, and you're poking it with a hot piece, and it makes indentations. And you make some go straight in, and then some point down. Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Creates a vortex.
You have, it makes a surface so that the water is heavier, the alcohol is lighter. And when you put this mixture of alcohol and water in the column, gravity tends to pull down the water. So it's, if you took a sample here and a sample here, this is more rich in alcohol at the top than at the bottom. So it's a trick of scrubbing off using gravity and using the distillation to scrub off the alcohol.
So off the top of that column, do you have any collector or anything?
Yeah, you have, you can put a Keldol bulb, or you can put a bridge, and either do the collection here, or you can do another condenser. You need a condenser, frankly, yeah. So you put a condenser. You may want to use a vacuum. But what we're going to do is very similar to this later this week, maybe. We'll see.
This one was Cindy wrote his author about the marriage of Figaro. I thought it was Figaro.
It's a good idea.
So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up with the wine. You could use brandy, you can use whatever to take the alcohol off. And we're going to use this setup to show you what happens. Now, while we're getting ready for that, let's talk a minute about medicines. I don't know if you've run into it, but in our newspaper, in our area, I've even seen in the newspaper where people taking iron pills, their stomachs rusted. Now, you take, the Navy puts out a book about every 5 years, and it gives you the composition of different medicines and how it's made and etc. And if I remember correctly,
can you pass this to me on your right?
underneath.
Yeah, right in front of you. Good, thanks. Sorry.
And they took iron filings and they put nitric acid on it, what have you, and they made it into a powder. Then they sold this to you as an iron pill. Well, it can plug up veins and arteries, and it can also rust, like I said. Also, another good one they pull off on you is they take gold chloride for arthritis, and they make it into a solution, and they inject it into you, and these salts can solidify. If you're lucky, they have very good therapeutic value if they go through your system. But I have a friend of mine that got one in her back end, and quite some time later, they x-rayed where they injected it, and there it remained. It solidified right after they put it into her. So these are the kind of things that you're dealing with. Fortunately, I don't think that there's a whole lot of people that are killed by it, but it can happen.
Don't they call them gross mechanics?
Something like that.
I'm in practice with perinatal herbal practice. Women are always told take the iron by physicians, and I've never yet seen a commercial product be appropriate to a woman's needs.
Yes, Hans?
Yeah, I mean, not to be self-aggrandizing, but the other side of that coin is alchemists, such as myself, can make tincture of gold. I just got a letter from a friend of mine who has taken my class in alchemy and bought some gold tincture for me, and his father, really super wealthy, he knew he was going to be reluctant to give him this because 3 of the best specialists for heart in the world, he tells me, gave him up for dead. He said, I got this stuff from this crazy doctor here in Texas, it cost $1,000 for this little bottle, So the father said, oh, it must be good then, So he took it and he recovered, and he's still alive today, something like 12 years later. So alchemists, as far as I'm concerned, are about making incredible medicine that you can't get anywhere else.
That's right. That's right. And then your tincture of gold has no salt in it.
That's what?
It doesn't have any salt in it.
That's right. That's why.
Therefore, it goes through the body much better, and the poisons aren't injected into you. It's have 5-10 times more therapeutic value than the gold chloride they're giving you. Yes.
Is there any correlation between that kind of gold and, say, colloidal gold and colloidal silver?
Well, there is, but it's different altogether. In other words, you can say it's gold, but this colloidal silver and what have you is just taking electrode, and there is some flaking of gold or silver, but it's so minute.
Electroplating in reverse.
Right.
Dissolving the gold into a liquid suspension. And
Right.
Then you're taking that, and your body looks at its elemental form of gold and goes,
If you do advanced spectrometer or an AA on colloidal gold or silver, on alchemical gold or silver, you'll find the colloidal, it's gold and silver. The alchemical, this guy, there's no gold or silver in this liquid. And there isn't, because the metal, which is the poisonous part, has been extracted out, and the sulfur of the metal, which is the healing part, has been left in.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yes.
I feel likely that it isn't appropriate for right this moment, but I can't wait, I'm so curious.
Say it.
At some point, could we discuss the compare and contrast of the alchemical tinctures with the so-called Bach or other flower remedies and homeopathic remedies?
Well, we can remind us of it. And
I employ the 2 latter, but this is all.
Well, I think you'll find more potency here.
Show me.
You'll have to try it. Yeah.
Understand
Mm-hmm.
similarities, differences, and why.
Yeah.
Homeopathics, you're dealing with the portion that you've taken, like a tincture, and you distill it off. You got the water, you distill that off, and you time divide so many times. You distill off. Basically, you're doing just the resonance, the frequency of the original. And what you're doing is affecting the frequency of your body to respond like light works on light.
Didn't hear that.
Well, you want to repeat it? Go ahead.
Part of the research, part of the team I was in Vancouver, we were working with a team of other people who are into Bach flower remedies, into essential oils, into Bach flower remedies, into Spagyrics, into alchemy. And the major difference between each one is the level of energy in the medicine. I mean, if you're dealing with homeopathic, the whole thing is you take the original flower or whatever, right, and you make a tincture, then you take 1 drop of that, put it into purified water, and then you distill that off so many times, then again, it's basically breaking it down so it's like 1,000 times the original or 1,000,000 times whatever they want. And then they give you that, something down to day under the tongue, and you have basically you have a light works on light. Like if you got a cold, you eat an onion, and it gets rid of the cold. If you don't have a cold and you eat an onion, you get the symptoms of a cold. That's the easiest way to explain it from here, from what I can see. And then when you're dealing with Bach flower remedies, it's the musical orchestration of the essences of the flowers that it work upon the body, especially on the subtle electrical field of the body, because they're working with the subtle electrical field of the plants. And because each body has a certain resonant node system, it keys in and causes changes in the body, it causes you to shift. Therefore, you get rid of certain poisons within the body or certain destructive anomalies like traumas. And then if you go into just tinctures, like you're saying, each time you're going up in power. When you get into a tincture, you got the sulfur and you got the spirit, mercury and the sulfur. And then if you go into Spagyrics, you're going 1 step farther. You're going to actually capture the salt, and then the next. And then if you take that and you go through your rotations or whatever you want to call it, then you're getting into alchemy, and then that's more personal because you can't be making that and giving that away because it's a personal thing. Its frequency and your frequency become more and more coherent. It's like people who go and eat food without thinking about it. You're eating food, the problem is people who touch the food, who process the food, the truck that touch the food, the bouncing around, all have subtle influences upon it. And when you're dealing with alchemy, you're actually imprinting your frequency upon it. It's like blessing the food before you eat it.
I think he wants a change.
Sure.
Yeah, change that. Okay. What, if I heard correctly, what you said was that you got a tincture, you have the sulfur in it, and you have the mercury. And to get a spagyric tincture, you add the salt. Well, that's only partly correct. Making of a spagyric tincture is a threefold process.
Seriously, it's break time and beyond.
And see if they have it. And I didn't see how long it took.
Just break it.
All right. I think we're going to stop here. I think we're going to stop here and take a break. I was looking on the schedule to see when it was, but take one and...
What time do we return from break?
How long is the break?
You want a 10 minute or 15 or?
15.
15 minutes from now. So by my. You got it?
All right. Okay, we're going to pick somebody out, a volunteer. Well, we got to get some hands on here, so
somebody who hasn't worked in laboratory things before. Somebody who's maybe nervous about it or something.
Oh, I'm the worst.
Good.
I was passed through chemistry in high school because Mr. Baker didn't want to see me again. He knew I was going to be an English teacher.
Okay.
Okay, what we're going to do is use the retort, and we're going to use red wine, and we're going to distill it and collect it here, the alcohol. We're going to use a thermometer, and it won't be down in the liquid, but instead it's going to be measuring the heat of the vapor. The reason why there's sand in this Corningware is because this is it's not a very good control, it's a hot plate. Oh. And these things, they come on and they're hot, and then they go on too hot, and then they're too cold, and so on. If you put sand, what it does is it evens it out so that it stays a little more stable. And this is also a heater that gets very, very hot, so we want it to just be a little easier.
Another point while we're talking about that is at home you have a deep fryer. You can put water in it, you can put oil in it, even if you want to, you can put sand in it. So there's all kinds of ways that you can do these things, that you don't have to have a professional heater with thermostatic controls and what have you. So if you really want to do these things, it's possible.
Good. Move things out of the way that are not useful. On this, if you can just use the funnel to pour in some wine, it's okay to put it up so high.
Up to the edge.
Yeah, so that it doesn't want to boil over.
Okay.
Do you want to sample that and make sure we got the right thing?
I'd like to sample that, if you need volunteers.
100% grape wine. The only thing is I was looking at percentage.
I think it's 12.
Probably about. Yeah.
It's 12. When you pour,
I don't see it.
you might want to. It'll tend to, if you go this way, it'll splash and then run down here.
I want
to try to hold it a little bit this way. Yeah. Or maybe it'll hold itself. Maybe.
According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcohol.
When?
Beverages.
Oh. It's a rascal. I think we've got
pregnancy. Okay.
Should men drink alcoholic beverages when they're pregnant?
If they can stand the pain, yes.
Darn, I don't see the percentage on there.
Huh.
Oh, wait, here it is, up there in the
12. It's 12 even.
Is the French about that?
It's all good if it's above 12.
12%.
All right, now I should just carefully begin to pour.
Yes, and if you want, I can hold that just for a start, if that helps.
Smells right. Oops, let's dip down a little bit.
What we'll do is we'll clean up what after.
Yeah.
Does that seem like it's going to hold?
It's dripping on my hand, but...
Okay, I'll try to do this. See if that'll stop it.
Say when.
That's the other.
About it?
A little more, I think it's okay, yes.
The one you should have drank.
Is that it? Or a little more?
More. We'll come all the way up to here.
It's at the level right now. Actually, it's a little above.
Okay, then that's good.
Okay.
And I'll get a towel for your hands and so on.
Go ahead, lick your fingers, it's okay.
And you can put the thermometer in with the number part facing out. And we'll put this in the refrigerator? No, it's red. No, it's a bad idea.
Real bad for you.
Back here with that.
Let's test it.
Pass it around.
Okay. I forgot one thing that's useful for this. We'll put some glass beads in the liquid. If you want to hold out your hands, we'll put, if you can get so many, about half dozen or 8, and just drop them down into the liquid. If one rolls through, it's not horrible.
What does that do?
What happens, there's energy that builds up when you have heat into a liquid, and when the liquid, it has some inertia to overcome because it's sitting there going, I'm getting hot, I'm getting hot, I'm getting hot, I don't know what to do. And it goes, wham! And it releases the energy. And when you do that, it makes, you call it bumping, it makes the flask or the bottle jump. And if you put the beads in, because they're light and they move, when you start having, it makes places where you can have bubbles form more easily, and it has some motion, so it makes it like so, it's more, it moves all the time. so you don't build up. It releases energy all the time. Makes it boil more smoothly.
Yeah, because you get evolution and it just breaks it up.
Okay. Now this heater gets incredibly hot. You can melt metals with it. So we're going to turn it up, kind of by guess
Now,
instead of
since you
science.
volunteered, you're responsible to see that that temperature don't go over 78.
Okay.
It's a tough work. Yeah. It what can do, if you like, we turn it where you can always see it.
We might even let you bring your chair over.
Sir, you are most kind.
What a goddamn eyebrows.
One thing I found in these classes, everybody's anxious to set up a distillation, but everybody isn't patient enough to sit there and see that it doesn't go up too high. Because if it goes up too high, then you're going to bring over the water. And that's what we're trying to get away from.
Okay. What else do you have in mind for us?
Well, we're going to set up a soxhlet extraction. Now, you might want to explain a soxhlet, whether on the board or whether you do it here.
Do a little of. The idea of what we're trying to accomplish with the soxhlet is exactly the same as what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to make a tincture. So even though this is a nice, confusing piece of equipment that looks pretty good sitting in the laboratory, the purpose is the same. Some people will even say that this makes some changes in energy, and that this doesn't affect it as negatively. It's slower, it's more quiet, whereas this has a lot of activity. I don't know about those, which is better. I use these and I use this. What make it so it's a little easier to see. We have a flask at the bottom. This part is called the soxhlet. This is the extractor. You put alcohol here. We're going to fill a cellulose thimble. It's a hollow container. It's porous, and it doesn't have something in it that's going to extract into the herbs. So we put herbs in here, and you put it inside. So we have color here. We have the sulfur, the salt, and the mercury of the plant. Here we're going to put clear alcohol. We're going to put a heater, and then we'll put a condenser on top. We run cold water in, and then out at the top comes the cold water. When this is heated, it begins to boil, and the steam only has one way that it can go up. It can only go up this big tube here. Okay? It comes out at the top, and it tries to keep rising, and it runs into the cold part of the condenser. When it gets cold, clear alcohol drops, and it comes through the herb. And it begins to fill up, and it saturates the herb, and it all becomes moist. After some time, it begins to soak through the thimble, and you'll see the color of the herb will be on the thimble, and you'll have a liquid with a color. When it fills to a certain point, there's a siphon tube on the side. So if the alcohol was up to this level, it's up to this level in the siphon tube. And as it rises here, it rises in the siphon tube. When it gets to the top of the siphon, it's pulled over. So it siphons from the bottom, and it pulls the color, the liquid, right back into here. So now this has color in it. It started clear, now it has color. The heat, you continue extracting, and more clear alcohol comes through. It's always clear because we're distilling off the alcohol. And that's what comes up, and that's what goes into the herb and dissolves out the essence. When after 2 days maybe, or a day and a half, or sometimes 3 days, you'll find that the alcohol that comes up here stays clear. And if you looked at the herb inside the thimble, instead of having color in it, it's like straw, with less color than straw. All the green or the red or whatever is now here. And like Laura had asked this morning, using the jar, how do you know when you have everything out? How do you know when you're done? With a sock slit, you continue until the alcohol stays clear. Then you're done. So it's a very fast way. It can do in 1 day or 2 days what takes 2 weeks. It's a very quick way to keep washing the herb with pure alcohol without adding any more. We put a spout on here, and it's useful, maybe not so much for what we're doing today. The thing with making tinctures like today, it's not very important, so we just leave it closed. But if you needed to take out a sample, you could do that. If you wanted to concentrate your tincture, yes,
you could take and draw off the alcohol when it's clear,
yes,
and keep it extracting, and you would concentrate what you have down in your bottom flask.
For example, if you have, let's say it's 250 milliliters of a very, very strong tincture, but you want it even more concentrated, you can take the thimble out, put everything back together, and concentrate this if you want to 100. You remove the alcohol. If you had no other way to do it, and you wanted to put a flask here with no thimble, you can distill wine. What you can do is you put a plastic tube on here into a bottle, and you leave it open all the time.
You can do exactly what you're going to do here with that.
So it's useful. It's not absolutely necessary. And again, neither is a sock slit, because you can use a jar like this, or you can use a flask with a condenser and accomplish the same thing.
Are there any problems with leaving something like that going for 2 or 3 days?
No, nor for 2 or 3 weeks or more.
With the cinnamon, you calcine what's left after you take out the alcohol and then add it back to it?
We haven't got that far, but all herbs would be the same.
Okay.
Whether it's cinnamon or whatever it is. But we'll get into that. That's a little bit after we get the sulfur out.
Putting a little piece of glass in the bottom, it's for 2 reasons. It's to keep the thimble from swelling and shutting off the siphon tube, because if you can't siphon, you boil the flask dry, and then this has a big problem. Somebody had to say that. The other reason is that the company that made these soxhlets happened to make them almost exactly the siphon, the same height as the thimble, and it slows down and it makes it hard for it to jump over the edge to siphon. So we'll see if this improves it. So are we going to have
another volunteer?
Yeah. Maybe if somebody who hasn't done this, we can let them do one here and one here, maybe 2 people.
Don't fall over each other. Here's one of them, looks like.
I'm ready to go.
All right. We got to have a little positive. You know, we have to have a little positive and negative for something to manifest.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll explain how, and we'll go through the pieces and talk about them, and then you can do it. And then if something comes up where we need to talk about it, we'll do that. But we'll just talk about the process, and you can do it. You'll find your own way. I mean, it does, as long as you end up the same place, it doesn't matter how you do it. So you don't. If I do something, you say, you know, that seems stupid. Well, don't model that behavior. Don't. Okay. But when you do something like this later, you'll say, you know, that he didn't know. That's how you know. What we need to end up with is alcohol here. And we find 250 milliliters is good. And then are we going to use another some in the...
We'll put about 50 some in the thimble.
Okay. So what we're going to need to do is to measure 300 milliliters of alcohol. Can you hand me the hydrometer tube? Okay. We're just going to use this as a... Because I don't have a measuring bottle, we'll use this.
Russ?
Yes.
Give me a second on the phone there.
Of course. Yeah.
Besides, you're going to be in the movies.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And this part is a thimble. Excuse my handwriting. What we're going to do, since this has measurements on it, we'll pour some clear alcohol from the bottle with the funnel in here, and then you can pour it all in here so that it's not in your way. But that's how we were able to measure to get it. Then we're going to put maybe 6 of those glass beads in the bottom. And then after that, you just clamp this so it's on here sturdily.
You want to grease the joints.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Every place where you have this frosted glass, you need to use this is a high vacuum grease. You can also use something called a stopcock grease. And it's a way of keeping the glass from bonding to itself under heat, because you have to use a torch and all kinds of tricks later to get them apart.
You can use Vaseline.
Yes, you can use Vaseline. Glycerin is possible. The other thing that you need to do is to take this thimble, and it's good to have something to hold it, and you can put cinnamon powder, in this case, in there, and we don't want to fill it too full, maybe a little from the top, and I'll get a piece of paper that you can push down over the top so that when the liquids are coming in, that it doesn't start washing cinnamon out, because that may plug up the tubes. Okay. So filling with the alcohol and the beads, and we can hold the grease for a moment and fill this. Then we'll put this in like so, just drop it in. And put grease. You just put it on your fingers a little bit. It doesn't take much. You put it here and wipe it around. And after the thimble is in, you put grease here. You can put it on both pieces if you want the inside and the out. You don't put grease and then try to put the tube because it doesn't work as well. Then when you're at that point, you can clamp this up nice and tight. Then comes the easy part. We'll take one of these and set it on top, and should be good. So take things you don't need out of your way and let you work.
Let's see if I remember.
It's not a test; it's an experience. So you don't have to be right.
First, measure.
We'll get yes, a funnel, and let you fill up to the line that says 300 with this alcohol.
Well, why don't you only put 250 in there, and then put 50 in that?
Because I can't measure 50
on the other one.
Well, we could measure 300 and then pour.
Yes,
no, 450
That's
off.
a good way. Yes,
that's all right. Into something else. Now, one thing you'd want to do too is that alcohol is such high proof. As soon as you use it, cap everything off if you can, or cover it so that you're not losing it.
If you find you're 5 or 10% over, it's not critical.
Okay. Where would you want me to put the 50 that we're pouring? Why are we pouring 50?
Well, we're going to tell you that.
You can put it here.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that
Well, since it's been brought up, if you put 250 in here, by the time that goes into a liquid state, comes up here, and it saturates this thimble, you won't have anything down here. So we add some in there so it'll saturate the thimble. Then when this comes up, it'll start to come back down.
Yes.
And this won't go dry.
We'll just pass it.
Because your herb will suck up all of this tincture, or most all of it. Yes.
One of the other great things about finding and saturating that thimble is because the fact that some herbs are more porous than others, and it'll be a good telltale indicator whether the flow or the material is too dense and the flow through the initial time. If it is, then there's unpack everything and loosen that up. So the whole system will stand.
Yeah.
This is tight. Sorry, this one wasn't.
No, it's okay to be in contact because you have this.
Yeah. The pad is.
I'm asking for like when I go home.
Oh yes, the pad is a ceramic, and it spreads the heat out so that you don't have a single hot spot. I'm sorry, this wasn't too stable. Mark, if you want to take that one, you can take the pieces apart, and then the same thing it's doing here you can do.
Should this plant be on the back though?
Exactly, yes. So you raise it.
You got something else you want to set in the other one?
We'll use the same. If you want, so the two people can have the experience. Maybe.
Well, okay. As long as we can finish it up.
We'll go fast.
Okay.
We're faster all the time. Okay. Put 6 or so glass beads, 6, 7. Okay. The grease, after you've used it, you want to wipe your hands, because if you happen to wipe your eye, you have a grease in your eye and it's not easy to take care of. So you can just take this tube and squeeze a little on your fingers, and then you just, yeah, that should probably be a good amount. And then you just make it go all around. Yes, I think so.
Now, the reason we're saying
the best place to hold it,
250 milliliters, because that's through experience that we find that is a satisfactory tincture to do what we want to do mostly. It's like a cook in the kitchen. Another thing I'd like to mention that you should do is keep notes of what you're doing, and you should label everything that you do, because you'll get 2 or 3 calcinations or tinctures, and you got them in your mind, and someone calls you away, and pretty soon you don't know which is which, so you don't want to take the chance, so you'll end up throwing it away and starting over. So it's a very good idea to label as you go. Now you will, I thought here recently, and I haven't gotten around to doing it, but you're working with a lot of hot things. So if you cut out a little metal tag and paint them green or red or what have you, then you set up a chart and you say this is Melissa extraction under the red, and then you can hang that tag anywhere on there where it's hot, and you'll know on your chart that that's Melissa. And if you take it off and go over and do something else, take the tag with it, and you can keep track. But I'll tell you, I got some right now at the our chapter. We're having alchemy classes, and I have to take all the lab equipment down there, and we work on it, and then I take it home. And I've got things sitting around there now, I don't know what they are, because they weren't labeled. And when I brought it home late at night, set it down, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow doesn't come, and you waste a lot of time and material just for a few seconds there to label it.
Then on the top,
but it is hard to label something when you have all this heat.
So that it's
so I would suggest you do something like that with a metal tag that's coated.
Yes, good.
And then when you're finished with that one, you can use that same color for whatever the next one is. Just write it on your chart.
Kind of lower it in and then drop it the rest of the way.
Because if you do get involved with this, you won't be monkeying around with just one. You'll be doing several at the same time.
Yeah. You're almost done. Now, we'll use the funnel again if he's not using it.
Labeling also can bring things into manifestation.
Yeah.
If you poke it down.
That would help that also.
More instead of the middle. Yes. That if you hold it. We'll just pour this. Okay. And we'll go slowly in case it was too much so it doesn't siphon over.
Do you have your glass beads in there?
Yes. And this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
There's
it won't matter which one you take.
It's called the Q-Age herbalist.
Yeah.
This feels like a testimony, just need another coat.
But it's every single.
Yes, I think a little more would be good.
Oh.
And they'll tell you the solubility there, whether it's soluble aspects to alcohol or water. So that way you can diversify your what do you put the paper in?
Why? That'd be
Beautiful test. Fantastic. And the uses for every single one incarnation.
yeah. What's our temperature?
Temperature is between 40 and 50%.
You got to go a ways. Yes.
How can you regulate your temperature if you're going to distill not safe to keep
It is. Keep it open.
Russ was saying.
In other words, if you're going to distill your alcohol like this in the soxlet,
Yeah, okay, how are you going to keep tracking temperature?
well, you can watch by the drip. You don't need to. Well, wait. You want to keep a temperature control like that. That. Yeah.
You'd need to get that fit in the top of the sock.
What you would have to do, I would say, was you'd probably have to use a double flask with a temperature thermometer in it. You can't put it in here.
Yes, good.
Right.
Sure. Okay. What you look for is you kind of
have to
sight by
probably do
this
that.
tube. Is it more
Get
or
it
less
somewhere
straight
close,
up
but
and down?
normally
And it's a little
be
wobbly,
doing
but
too
it's
much
the
of
same.
this in that.
Then
But it
is
could be done.
This one is a little this way, only a little, so you can bring it back like so.
Oh, Jack?
Yeah.
You hear that?
And all of these are, you don't want to make them
It's all the
because
pet
the heat will
stores
make
now,
them
they have warning.
tend to break. Yes. But it's not, it's just so it's being held. It's very steady. It's good.
Usually people have been wondering why the birds have been dying.
Let's see.
Oh yeah.
What,
Birds are very susceptible to that.
What I then do is I look at where these are, if they're not hanging somewhere where I'm likely to hit them and make this all up. So I take them. I have 3 grandsons, 2 grandkids on the way, and oh, you bet.
Something wrong.
Most of mine were
You're getting wine over.
I joined up with the family there, and
Well, we shouldn't have that.
they would go looking.
That's going to contaminate what you cut coming over. We're going to have to take this off, wipe that clean.
Okay. Did you pick cinnamon because it's something that you can see?
Most of them you can see, but they have some.
Well, that's another thing we didn't tell you.
What happened here?
That was contaminated.
We have wine coming over.
There was a little that had come over. It didn't come over. A little came when it was.
When they spilled it?
Yes, there was maybe 3 drops only.
On the outside.
No, on the inside.
On the inside.
Inside.
You just send one on your
Yes, you can drop it in first. Yes.
Oh, from the thermometer, no. I just
No, when I was
mixed
pouring it into the funnel, some of it
The paper over.
inside.
You just poke it
Do
down.
we have any? Yeah, a piece of paper, will you?
What's in there, cinnamon also?
Writing paper, or
No, I just want something.
we're trying to keep people so that they don't get their backs taped. Right now, it's not a problem, but another time it may be.
Yeah, I know, I know he's over there.
Now, one thing I want to caution you, which I think that you probably heard, when we took this off, this was a sealed unit, and when you start it up, it builds pressure. You have to take this off and let off the pressure and let the pressure equalize, then you're all right. But if you don't take this off and relieve the pressure, then you'll blow it off.
Usually the thermometer goes through the roof.
Right, now this here, when I pulled it, you heard it pop because it built up pressure.
So you need to
take that off. So if we had to take them off.
It's best in the beginning not
They
to...
could have blew the
I wasn't thinking
thermometer
it's
right
best not
out,
to
or
have
could have
things
blew
tight.
this right off.
You leave like the top
Well,
one very
when
loose,
you first start it
and
and
you
you
wait
get it
until it's
start to
beginning
come
distill
over,
over, and then you close it.
break it and let the pressure out. Then
Yes,
you're all
either
right.
one.
Here,
one.
there,
And then
either way,
when,
any place.
Okay.
Yes.
I can
Then,
smell
as long as you don't raise the temperature higher,
hot spice wine?
it's okay.
Yeah,
After it's-
yeah, I've had
Blue
it.
vine, they call it. So greasy inside?
Well, see, now, your vapor's coming over, you see.
That's good.
It's getting to 50 now, it's starting to rise quite a bit more quickly than it was.
What, on this one?
Now, see what comes over, a lower temperature is more volatile.
That's okay. We'll show you.
Yes.
Take the funnel
Because
and poke it right
the higher the temperature, you're going to carry over some of your water.
Will it go?
Ah,
And pour the alcohol in.
So that's why you want to keep that temperature down.
That's why you can't go above 70, what?
78.
78.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Now you'll see that it'll crowd back and forth. It's hard to hold it right on.
Before this,
Take the funnel and put it
Doing great
and
now.
pour the alcohol in so it saturates.
Now, let me say this to you. This, well, if you have paper in there, you're all right. But if you don't, leave your condenser off and put your funnel here and pour it away from this on the opposite side so it will run down alongside the thimble. Because if you don't have paper, it'll pour and draw the herb out around it. But you can do that without going all the way down, unless you put paper here so it can't flow out. Slow increments bringing it up. We're going to turn it up and get it boiling, and then we'll cut back on our heat.
All the way up?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
And you'll hear the beads talking.
Now, when you get this boiling and it comes up here and dropping back,
I just did.
it'll drop off of the point here on that condenser. You don't want a stream coming down. In other words, it's boiling so fast it's coming up here and it'll stream down. You want it just to drop, drop, drop so that it has time to soak into the herb and take out your tincture. If you just run it through there real fast, it don't have time to draw out your sulfur from the herb.
Do you want to close those at the top, or are you going to use alcohol?
If the condenser is doing well,
Good, you won't.
you don't,
Don't need to close them.
but if, sometimes in my lab, and I think Jack's, we have bugs that go in there just to die. And
Yeah, gotta stay close.
one thing that you can use that's,
I use a plastic medicine bottle, maybe just a little bigger than that, and I drop it upside down on there. If it builds pressure, oh, you can do that. If it builds pressure, the plastic will raise up, let off the pressure, and drop back down.
That balloon will blow up.
Right.
All around the...
and you can use different colors.
Here we
and
really you must have had something cooking on there before.
they had a plastic, these were new ones I was going to bring for sale.
You gotta clean it.
Oh,
So these were new ones, and they have plastic labels on them. They weren't, on this side, it's a used one, and you won't have a problem. This one's cooking off arsenic.
Oh, shoot.
why aren't they? Why are?
Can you just use one foot?
Oh yes. Well, we had two people, so we wanted to get them to have the experience of doing two.
No, but why are they connected?
Well, because
We should know.
the water coming from our source comes into the bottom of this condenser. You want it the coldest here, and then it goes out the top. Well, rather than running another water line to this one, we took what comes out the top and put it in the bottom of this one, and then this one is the drain going back. So you just put it in series for that purpose. Rather, you could run a separate line to this one, a separate line to that one, you see. But we only have two, an inlet and an outlet, and these are hooked in series, yes.
Jack, for reference for everybody else, in the regular lab system, you have 12 units like that, and connect to the hoses like that pretty well.
Oh yeah, you can hook up as many as you want as long as you have enough cold water to keep them cool.
I'm moving these a little closer together. One reason is that all it takes is hooking one of these things and you pull over one or two, and it's good. These have been taped down, so it's nice that that you don't accidentally grab these. And you don't want this down here cooking, so that you can hook them around these like so.
Now, as long as you keep this real cold. Now, you can also take, if you don't have a water source like this, you could take a tub, what have you, and get one of these pumps that they use in these little pools and what have you, or fish tanks, and you can put this in the bottom of your tub, pour water in there, and run a tube up to your condenser. The fella in California, from the top, he just let it run back into the tub and just kept circulating the water. Now eventually the water will get warm, so you might have to throw some ice in it or something to keep it cool. But you have to have a cool condenser for that hot vapor to hit and come back down as a liquid. But you're using the same supply of water, which is cheaper if you can keep it cool.
For example, with a bucket of water, you can buy a submersible pump for fountains and so on, like Jack mentioned, and they're electric. And you plug them in and stick them down in the water. As bad as that seems, they're made for that, and they don't have a problem. You can pump the water out right into your one or more of these setups, and then you let the water run back in. You can put a bag of ice in there and slow it down if you need to.
Some of these, you can buy those containers that you put in your freezer, freeze it, and then drop it in there, and it'll keep your water cool. Oh, you can buy these containers, has a solution in it.
Oh yeah.
That you freeze and then, yeah, like you're going to carry to a picnic. Well, it should start to come over. How's your temperature?
55.
Well, we could push it up a little bit, but we don't want to get it too hot.
It's doing nice.
Yeah, it's coming over. I don't know if we got anything down there, but phew, you're getting a drop coming. So this is another thing where patience is necessary. Don't push it. Let it come over slowly. And then you're going to get a good proof of alcohol on the first extraction. If you force it, then you're going to bring over the water, which that isn't what you want to do.
Jack?
Yes.
I don't know if you have them here, but you said for $6, you have cooler pumps. These are coolers on the roof, and they're made for exactly this.
Is that right?
Yeah, they sit at the bottom of your cooler, which fills with water, and the water source comes in and goes out a little plastic tube to the spider that wets the pads. Real cheap. They're like $6. They go through them fast. They pick up corrosion.
Yeah, I haven't seen those, but
They sit right in water just like that and look like the picture.
let's go, let it go till it starts to come over.
For them, coolers that we have, swamp coolers.
Hello, Marcus.
No, it's all right. It's coming over. That's all right. That let the pressure off.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're not holding on to it.
You just got
All right,
vapors here now.
Yeah, now we cut the heat down on this.
Maybe to half or... Okay.
Now see how that's coming over? And those little glass beads in there. Now you can use a little piece of ceramic or a marble or something. Otherwise this will pop and go up, and this makes it even out. Well, you see what is happening here. Since it's so hot, it's going, because we pushed it so that you can see what's happening.
Normally during your operation, would you want to minimize that rumbling and keep turning it down so that you don't hear it?
Well, no, the thing that you want to do is you want to boil it. But you want to see this drop coming down now?
Yes.
All right, you want a steady drop. Just drop, drop, like this. You don't want a stream running down. Because that gives, when it gets in here, that gives it time to draw out of the herb.
The other one looks like it's streaming.
Well, that's going to be in the same situation now.
One thing that's useful is if you have a heater, after you've taken the time to figure out what's a good setting for doing a certain job, it's not a bad idea to label it. If you have 2 or 3 of these, give them names or tags or something, and you can mark on their little dot for the right setting for something. It saves time later.
Another thing, these heaters are fine, but as we told you, the temperatures, it's either, it has a temperature setting, but when it reaches that point, it'll cut off. Then this will cool down fast. And then it'll come back on, and that'll jack the heat up again. So you're better off if you use sand or something, if you use this type of heater. That way you'll have an even temperature, and if that cuts off and comes back on, it won't vary the temperature in your sand or what have you too fast, and you can maintain a more even heat.
Where do you put the sand?
Well, we have it right here, although we don't have a big enough container, but you should have the sand, so you have sand underneath it and come up the sides a little bit so you have an even heat around it. Yes.
That sand aspect is actually the most safest system because it disperses that heat. That heat can be really damaging because you have different electrical flows simultaneously fluctuating in everyone's home. And that causes the heater to really give off a lot more. That causes the unit to heat up and surge. And when that surge happens, you're going to jettison everything that you've got in that nipple right off the top. And so that's the other aspect of the boilies is because they calm down that action so you don't get that sudden burst of energy that goes boom. That'll cause everything to jettison also.
Now I've used motor oil in a deep fryer, but you have to watch your heat there too, because you could reach a flash point where it could ignite. But you can use your kitchen oil or what have you. You can use water, but the only thing with the water, it'll evaporate. So you got to keep adding water to it.
You can, with water, you can put an oil layer on top of the water, and it'll slow it sometimes.
Am I going the right way?
Toward me is hot.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one's a little slow too. We'll have a race.
I got experimental one time in one extractor, and I put big boil users in there. And, you know, the action is real intense with the big boil users. They bounce around pretty good. Crack that beaker.
Now you must have had a pretty good fire.
Small ones, yeah, I use the small ones all the time.
Well, I use a ceramic. It's about 3/8 of an inch high and about 3/8 diameter. I just put one of those in there, and it keeps it pretty much good. I hate these little glass beads because you get it mixed in with your tincture, and you're losing them here and dropping them there. That's why I go with the one piece.
Yeah, because it's true you drank 30 of those in your career. That's why your name is Glass, because you drank all that glass.
What?
Try experimenting, right?
No, I'm afraid not.
It just goes right through, right?
I'm glass, but you can't see through me.
So it takes a while for this to get saturated before it
Yes. Yes. And it's a little slow. That's why it really helps to put the some in to begin, 50 or even sometimes as much as 100. But once it starts, you won't believe how fast.
What I like to use is Melissa, because you got a beautiful green color.
St. John's wort, would you get a real pretty red?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And that one, some of those ones that you have for all the different colors, and the one experience I had, you sit through every single hour, and within every single hour, your tincture turns an entirely different color.
What was you using?
So this one was cleavers.
Cleaver?
I wasn't supposed to do that. Every hour is different color. We had company, unfortunately, other people who were experimenting, and they, we had to have everyone down to witness this. So it was just
I haven't had any experience with that. Changing colors. Now I have with antimony, because it has all the colors in it, and you'll get different.
Is that dripping too fast?
No, that's all right. They just drop, you know, it's not running.
Is this running out?
It's kind of okay. It may just be that it's not really stable.
It'll vary a little bit on account of these darn heaters.
It'd be nice if someone could invent a heater that worked better.
They have lots of them.
Oh, you bet.
But they cost you a lot of money.
Yeah,
This you can buy for $10.
I know, Maserati runs better than my Chevy, yeah.
Yeah. But you can pay $300 for one.
When choosing an herb to use, and say you've chosen the type of herb, and now you would like to purchase it, is there any type of herbs that are preferred, should be stayed away from? Do you find that organically grown dried herbs are better than non-organic, or how does that make a difference in your final tincture?
Well, naturally, organically grown herbs would be better than some that has fertilizers and all this stuff in it. There's no question about that. As far as which ones, it depends on the conditions you want. Now, when we told you to make 7 tinctures, we want one for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, governed by each planet. So, supposing you did have a gallbladder problem, and barberry was very good for it, which you took on Tuesday, but maybe barberry you can't stand the taste of it. So you could get another herb which is more compatible to you and give you the same results. So it depends on the individual which one you want to take. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what it tastes like, I'll take it. But a lot of people can't. So, barberry, well, one time I had a gallbladder attack. I went in the hospital. I have 4 stones in my gallbladder. They've been there for 20-some years. They keep telling me I should cut them out, which I haven't. But I came out of the hospital, I still had the pain, so I made up a tincture of tartar. And I took that, just a little bit of it, and it must have got rid of all the infection, what have you, and I eat anything, greasy food, you name it, and I don't have a problem. So, I'm not going to cut unless I have, but I do have a problem to the fact that I know how to get rid of them, but I don't take the time to do it. And that's bad, that's a problem, yes.
I found out that, like, when you follow that chart,
this one isn't down in there.
Sunday through Saturday and all.
Not down in the...
It's not set properly?
No, it's not down in the, here, I'll just do this one.
All right.
I don't think.
Was it leaking? No, it went down some.
Did it?
Yeah. It was setting up a little bit.
I found out that when you follow that flow chart with identifying all the plants and their planets, you'll also incorporate that principle that Sandy gave between barberry and have your various other alternates fit the other elements. However, each one will have a different salt.
Yes.
And so those salts are essential, real salts. And every single person that's born under, like if you're born as an Aries or a Pisces, each salt is necessary for your human consumption. And some of these, so the ones that associate for your particular plant that you don't like, one.
Well, like Scorpio is supposed to need magnesium.
Say that again?
No, I said that they say Scorpio needs magnesium. Now, if you notice how that's dropping, that's about the way you should be. If you can't see it, you can come up and take a look. That one's a little bit faster than this one, but
It's not run.
Not quite 665, but an enormous respect for things that get hot, so I'm about to watch.
That's what I always say.
Good.
But now you don't get it out of the
now this is coming over, and you say it's 65, right?
Well, it's still about maybe 66.
All right, and it's coming over. So what's that tell you? It tells you the most volatile come over at a lower temperature, right? Now, if you had that up to 80, you're bringing with it some of the water. So you want to maintain that temperature as close as you can. Now, we'll bring this over at 78 degrees, and then what come over, we'll take a clean retort, put this back into it, and distill it over at a lower temperature. Then that will increase the proof or percentage. So what you can do is you can get your grapes, make the wine, distill the wine, get
Drink
200 proof, and then you do your extractions. Now I'll tell you something right now that there are very few of you here will ever do that. When you can go down and buy it. And I hear so many people say, I want to do it the way the old alchemists did it. So what you do is you make your tinctures and what have you, and you run out and find a horse and get some horse dung, and you set it in there for months to get some results. Now, wouldn't an old alchemist like to have a chocolate extractor?
Or even the hot plates we complain
or the
about.
hot plates. They're not there with coke and a bellows and what have you. Yes.
Jack, I think we are the old alchemists.
Yeah, but I think we learned a little bit.
That's good. We finally got our equipment.
Yeah. Well, that's what you call projection.
I wish I knew now what I knew then.
That's like late baggage.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's
My
curious
brain's in a
thing,
way.
but Here we spend billions of dollars and build an atomic reactor to change the atomic shells of something to make it something else. And here's this old guy in the woods with some coal and blowers and what have you, and he's changing the atomic structure of metals and no money. So there's something wrong somewhere.
I think every cell in every animal and plant does the same thing, for even less money.
Well, that's true. Well, let's answer any questions so we don't go out of here in doubt. I know we're trying to confuse you, but we'll try to straighten some of it out. That is cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
And you can see a tincture now. See, it's a golden tincture. Yes.
There's only one step in the process. You're talking about taking one of these herbs.
Excuse me a minute, huh?
You're talking about taking one of these medicines every day or week.
Right.
You're talking about another process we have plenty of, adding the salt to it. That's what we want to take every day, not just...
Well, what we're talking about is making a spagyric medicine, which is composed of all three things: sulfur, salt, and mercury. With this tincture, you only have the mercury and the sulfur. Oh yes, you can take it, but it doesn't have the therapeutic value that if you put all three together, which we're going to do. This is just part of the process. There's a lot more to it. And then hopefully we want to show you the process of making the stone. Now, I'll definitely say you won't make a stone while you're here. Unless something really changes. And that can happen.
What was the quickest we had one in a class? Pushing things.
Well, it was over a week that we had a stone, but normally you don't get it that fast. Yes?
Is there a difference when you're doing this if you're using powdered or just a chapter? Is one more preferable than the other?
Well, the way I feel about it, and there might be some question, I think that like this cinnamon was powdered. When you beat that up, you open it up, and therefore it'll give it up easier than if you had whole pieces of cinnamon or flowers or what have you. So what I do, practically all my herbs, if I don't get them powdered, I've been trying to get them powdered all the time because I can get much more out of it quicker. Does that tell you what you want to know?
Yeah, the powder you're saying is better.
Yeah.
You can get a little mini chopper for about $10 that they don't give you.
Well,
Powdered version of the herb that will powder it in no time at all.
Yeah. Waring makes a 10-speed blender. You can buy it for $17. And it works fine. The only thing is, when I put some oyster shells in there, it didn't work too fine. Broke the blade. Yes.
I'd like to bring up one question that, you talked about the stone. And I had that white birch that I did art, and I let it sit for a year, and I had so much built up on the sides of it, I had to stop her, so there was no escape of anything. But I had so much build up in there, it just kept growing. It was like a resin. What was that?
Maybe it's methyl salicylate or one of these. Does that sound? Salicylates out of birch bark?
Yeah.
Or some of these things. It's a growing. You could easily argue that things like this are very much alive, and that when you're working with them, and that's the idea. Is you're not trying to strip energy out. You're trying to remove obstacles that allow the life to express itself, to create a perfect body for the expression of energy. And this is to work on that process mentally, and to work on it in the laboratory creates a correspondence and exchange of energy between the person working and the thing. And they're good therapeutically, but I think it's important to look at what they do with the energy that you're able to access, because in a sense that's the broadest definition of health. Should include initiation. And instead of thinking of health in one way, you think of full expression in all realms.
I had strong information that manifestation out of that, which I haven't seen in all the other herbs, was a strong indicator that possibly this was the one to build the stone very quickly.
Well, you got anything else you want to talk about that's happened, Mary?
Question. I have worked very hard to create an atmosphere of meditation and high vibrations in my space that I use as a laboratory. And when I have not felt well, I have been careful to remove myself from there. And my question, I would like your opinion on the fact, could one possibly aid a healing process through working with alchemy without damaging other herbs that were done when you were in a very high state of consciousness.
You mean once you've extracted something, you feel that you damage it if you're feeling bad?
Yes, in the same room, because I noticed and why I got an opinion like this, and this is why I wanted to hear back to your opinion, is because I found that when I was doing alchemical preparations in my house, I found that when people came in, that they would spoil, sour, equipment would break, and the like. And because of this impression, I began to try to keep an incubator state within my laboratory. And I'm wondering if one can create an incubator state and work on something else if one is not feeling so good, either psychologically or physically, and not affect badly things already in process.
Well, I personally think that certainly conditions affect what happens. I think also that there are times and certain circumstances, which is your own personal evolvement, that you don't want other interference. But generally, I make all kinds of tinctures at the same time. I don't say that the moon is here today and at such and such hour is the only time I can make this, because I get fantastic results whenever I make it, normally. Now, when you reach a certain point that it is a evolvement thing of yourself, then I say that you probably should keep it to yourself. But I think if you have a bad day, I have a bad day very often, but I still make tinctures that help a lot of people. So I don't concern. I know that you're told if you're doing this particular experiment, you shouldn't do any others because of contamination from one or the other. I don't quite agree with that.
No.
Since in my lab I've been working on the Flamel method as well, so I have some sensitive materials in there. So you're feeling...
You don't know, huh?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, just a second. Go ahead.
One thing I've discovered that I think the answer to part of that, what I can consider recollection and past is the fact that in the Indian methods of doing things and their alchemical approaches, when a woman is going through her menstrual cycle, she is releasing energies. And those releases of events can be very strong and they're accelerated by their moods. And so therefore that affects the tincture that you're making, so you have to be a very calm and manifestation. And so in their aspects, a woman cannot never touch any food or anything when she is during that cycle. However, in the alchemical approaches, since your accelerated emotions can alter as you work in alchemical approaches, then if you're going negative in an instant, then that approach is going negative as well.
Well, I think that you can overcome some of those physical problems you have with your spiritual problems. That you can overcome these things.
First thing you're supposed to do is meditate, right?
Well, that's the way I feel you should.
Check. This one's within maybe half a minute of cycling over for the first time.
Now you'll see when this cycles over, your tincture will come over and go down into your bottom flask.
Yeah.
But then what goes back up again is clear alcohol.
We can keep talking, but you just may want to watch this out of your third eye or something.
Yeah.
What actually we're saying there is the fact that then if you're working in the lab, that working on your tinctures would be changing you more than you changing the tinctures?
I think that helps. Yes. And I think now you taking this class, okay? You have all kind of different vibrations. You got all the negative women in here and all the positive men. All right? Now, if we make a count, we got to see which is most. Now, I've had classes that are harmonized. And everything seems to work good. You get your tinctures. We had in San Jose here not long ago, we was extracting antimony. We got a golden tincture like this. Now remember, I said antimony has all 7 colors, governed by 7 planets. All right, it was extracting just like this is, with absolute alcohol, and we got a golden tincture. So all of a sudden we seen the tincture start to change. We stopped it. We took litmus paper and we checked the tincture we had, and it showed neutral. So we took new alcohol, took that off, took clear alcohol and started up again. Pretty soon we got a green tincture. Then we seen it change again, so we stopped it and we took it off and we checked it with litmus paper, and we had pure acid. Now we didn't have any acid added to that. We were extracting with alcohol. So we call that the green line. So you can name a lot of things a green line. Maybe a green sucker, I don't know. So then all of a sudden there was starting to change, and I told you we took that off and put new alcohol and continued with it. Then we got a blue tincture. Somebody I could spit on named it the blue whale. But it tested neutral again. Now, where did this acid come from? You see?
Where'd it go?
And where'd it go? So, if the group's in harmony, things can happen. Even as a group of all different frequencies and vibrations and what have you. So, I don't say that because you're negative and us two are positive, that you're going to disrupt this. You see what I'm saying? These things have to go on. Well, that came over.
This is one of those that's hanging where it's dribbling it over and it's not... We'll play a little trick.
You mean you do that too?
I thought you always did this. Yeah. Yeah, it's a design. It's an issue of design with the balance of the
most
and the
cases
thimble.
They'll flow right over and empty out.
Every time, yeah.
Yeah.
Except this time.
Except this time.
Except this one.
So you have a tincture down there now, and then it'll keep going through and build up more and just keep dumping it.
Is it hung up at the bend of the cycle?
It's what's happening is that every drop is just displacing and pushing one drop over.
It's
not.
It's reached kind of an equilibrium.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is, I'm letting it build up a little bit so that when I push it this way, there we go. Cheating.
Yep. You're not supposed to do that, you know.
I always sneak into the lab when I do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to shut this off, because I don't want to leave that go overnight. We'll leave these two go. Wouldn't be any problem, would there?
No, it's not, there's not a safety issue as long as there's somebody during dinner. We can cut them off. If somebody's going to be back here, it's fine. At home, I've left these things for years and years, but once in a great while, you have a goof.
So I think what we'll do is knock it off for today. We've put enough stuff in your head, I think.
Yes.
You're welcome.